I wanted to sort of do a complimentary recording for this reading for Mental Vision Games, just because there's a few things that stood out that I just really wanted to kind of offer some additional clarity on or go a little bit deeper in. Everything's in the PDF, of course, but there's just a few things I wanted to bring to your attention. First and foremost, thank you so much for sharing your story. Like, just wow. I mean, just the level of sort of moving from, being victimized to such a place of self-empowerment is just so beautiful. Truly, truly, truly beautiful. I mean, to go through what you went through and to move forward in such a profound way is just wow. I was just blown away by your story. Just incredibly beautiful. It really is such a testament to the human spirit. And yeah, it was really, really beautiful. It moved me very much. And I love that you wrote a book, and I love that you've gone ahead and, created this business that's creating games for the blind. I mean, just wow. I just so impressed by your will and your intention and just your spirit. So incredibly beautiful. Okay, so I am going to of course send you the PDF. You'll see that included for your business, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to go quickly over a couple things that stood out. Now, one thing I want to mention is with this PDF, so when I run the numerology, I can't tailor it to like institutions, that sort of thing. So it's geared more towards people. And so as you're reading through it, it's going to sound like it's going to be, you're basically going to have to insert your business into it, type thing, if that makes sense, right? So there's going to be things that might not make sense because it's talking like it's for a person. So just sort of, reframe your brain to kind of see it as for your business. And of course, there's going to be some things that are in here, like karma, that sort of thing, that just really don't pertain to the business because, it's a new entity. So there's no karma associated with it from past lives. The way that I see karma when it has to do with, well, even with people, but with businesses, is that it's potentially something that wanted to be created in a past life, but for whatever reason, it was thwarted. It wasn't able to come to fruition. And so in this lifetime, it becomes that much more like urgent, right? And so there is going to be potential challenges associated with the business that would tie into that sort of karma, to sort of help push to make it become a reality, if that makes sense. And the other thing is, of course, like, we look at the full sort of lifeline of the business, of the person, etc. And so, your business may or may not reach its second, third, fourth challenge or its second or third cycle, right? It just depends on how long the business is there, how long it keeps the name, etc., etc. So some of these things may not be as relevant as some of the others. So take what resonates, leave the rest.
Not going anywhere.
Let's see. So let's go ahead and get into it real quick. So what's interesting is when you originally gave me the name, it was just Mental Vision, and that carries the 9 energy. But when I pull Mental Vision Games, that changes the life path, right? Because we have
microphone on button.
Or I'm sorry.
Microphone
let me back
off.
up.
Stop recording button.
No, I'm wrong there. I'm sorry. You didn't give me your date. Oh, goodness, gosh. Okay. You gave me the name, which would give me the expression, which is 9, and that is still the same. Okay. Yeah. Which is interesting because I would have thought that it would have changed when we tacked on games, because I was just looking at Mental Vision, I believe. I can't remember now. But anyway, scratch what I just said, because the expression is what would come through with a name, and it's still 9. So we're still there. But what's interesting is the life path, which of course we take from the date of birth, is 19-1. And so we still have the 9 energy there, But we also have the energy of the one. And it's just kind of mind blowing to me because you have so much one energy in your chart, which doesn't surprise me. Honestly, it's like a lot of times when it's somebody's business, because it's an extension of themselves, we do see a lot of similarities between the person and the entity, right? And so I'm not super surprised, but I am kind of just like, I always love to see when there's correlations like this. So for the business's life path, it's a 19-1. What's interesting about this is 19-1 is actually a karmic energy, just like 16-7. So again, I would say that for both you with being a 16-7 and your business 19-1, both karmic life path energies, I really do believe that there was something in a past life where you both wanted to sort of step into these energies, but something happened and you weren't able to do it. And so your soul is like gung ho, like super motivated to make it happen in this lifetime. Because it's just very coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences, but it's very coincidental that your business is also has a karmic energy of 19-1, right? So there's something here where your soul is very determined to make all of this happen in this lifetime, right? What's interesting about the 19-1, and I'll let you read about it in the PDF, but what I really kind of want to bring to your attention, because again, we are talking about a business here, is with 19-1, there's the one energy, which again is all about ingenuity, has to be the the trailblazer, doing something new and different that hasn't been done before. Sound familiar? Which is so right up your business's alley, right? And so doing something that hasn't been done before, doing something that's a resource for the greater good, that brings a resource to, a place where there hasn't been that resource before. Again, just beautiful for exactly what you had envisioned for this business. But it has to stay true to, you have to stay true to that, or let's just say when your business continues to expand and grow, you just have to stay true to your vision with this business, right? If it starts to sort of morph into what other people expect it to be or want it to be, or you start trying to mold it to fit in, it's just not going to work as well as if you stay true to the original vision of this business, right? Because there's that one energy. So there's definitely something about, finding its place in the world. Again, just being very unique in its approach. The other thing is with the 9 energy, this is such such a spiritually elevated energy. The 9 is basically a higher consciousness, right? it is spirituality. I mean, it is in itself, it is what we like to call sort of like the 9th chakra, which is the closest to God, is sort of how we look at it, right? And it's not like a holier than thou. It's just one of those energies that is the humanitarian energy, right? It's here to serve a greater purpose outside of self. So I love that about your business, because it really does take into consideration others, right? A need for something that can bring joy and fulfillment to others in a way that hasn't been done before, right? And so the 9 brings that sort of cosmic energy into the life of this business, meaning that it's meant to serve a bigger purpose, right? It's not meant to be self-serving to you. It's meant to serve a greater purpose. It can bring you joy and fulfillment, but it absolutely is meant to serve a greater good and have a place in the world.
Microphone off. Button. Microphone on.
Okay, so she just explained without knowing about, the story of how I came up with mental vision, how I stumbled into this development stuff, and why I did it. So she just explained that I didn't do this for me, I did it for us. And, she's trying to say that if I if I try to navigate outside of why I started mental vision and the surface master revenge, then I'm doomed for failure. I'll be the next My True Sound. And they're not a failure, but they dropped out. They dropped out of high school before they graduated, pretty much. I miss them already. So, anyways, I'll go back to it.
Stop microphone on button. Microphone off.
That brings the ability to uplift, empower, inspire others, right? Through your vision, your dreams,
Stop
your
record,
achievements
microphone
type
off,
thing.
button.
So I love that. I love that. But it definitely has to have its own identity. It has to be unique. It has to sort of go against the grain a little bit, and there also is some risk taking there as well with one energy that needs to be, it's sort of like with this business, for it to continue to grow and evolve, it needs to keep sort of pushing the envelope a little bit, right? How you market it, how you put it out into the world, how you talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. Any changes that you make to it, sort of, there's going to be things that you'll have to do that'll be sort of tried and true, right? Obviously, because we're part of this human experience. But for the most part, it's going to be something that's uniquely authentic to this business, right? And the vision of this business. I love it. I love it. So incredibly beautiful. And I would say that just right out of the gate, your business has already stepped into its life path, right? It just has to, like, your job and the job of the business is to maintain that vibration. Again, where it stays unique to itself, where it continues to serve a greater purpose, where it's more sort of geared towards, a higher consciousness and moving towards something that's much more elevated than self-serving. In the report, it talks about, asking for help and not doing things too independently, et cetera, et cetera. And I would say that that's very accurate for somebody with, for a human with 19-1 life path energy. But for a business, yeah, I think that it would, obviously collaborations, working with others, asking for assistance where you might have some limitations in getting the business out there, whatever the case may be. Absolutely. Asking for help for that, and receiving that help without, too much like guilt, shame, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would also be serving of it. But I do think that there's definitely a strong piece here with this business where it has to maintain its authenticity. I think that's going to be really important, and to continue to be serving something greater than self. I also think it's interesting too, because the birthday energy, which again, this is a little bit different for a business, because birthday energy we would typically look at as you bringing this forward from a past life. The business doesn't have a past life. And so for the birthday energy, I just see that as sort of like more assisting energy to continue to feed into the life path of the business. And what I mean by that is 5 energy. And so there's something here which is interesting because it's 23-5 energy. 2 being about connectivity, bringing people together, harmony, balance, all those beautiful things, people, relationships. 3, of course, there's your 3, creativity, also what I love about this 3 energy and how it ties into your business is the 3 energy is all about that inner child and jovial, fun, jovialness, just, what lights you up and that sort of thing. And so I love that you have this 3 energy tied into your business, which is all about games and video games and bringing joy to people, especially, people who might have been overlooked, right, in the gaming industry. I just love it. I love it. So it's so fulfills this energy. And then the 5 keeps it progressive, right? We talked about the 5 in your last reading, but the 5 keeps that progressive nature, keeps it moving forward, think outside the box, do things unconventionally, but continue to change and transform and evolve. There's something here that this business wants to continue to grow with the times and continue to evolve and continue to produce something that's going to be progressive and forward thinking. And then you have the business has just a ton of 9 energy. We've got your expression. I'm going to say your, right? But I'm really talking about the business. Your expression is 9, your heart's desire is 9, personality is 9. I mean, this is such a, honestly, Joey, I feel like this is such a, your soul is in the driver's seat of this business, right? This is not ego driven. Your soul is like, this needs to be created. We're creating it, right? And obviously your soul is you. But this is so divinely guided, so divinely guided. With all these 9s, I'm just, this is so divinely guided. So with the expression of 9, with a heart's desire of 9, personality of 9, physical expression of 9, I mean, just holy guacamole. This business wants to serve a greater good. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Because 9 energy is the humanitarian. It wants to empower, uplift, inspire others. That is the goal of this business. If at any point it starts moving in a different direction where, I mean, even your minor expressions are all 9s. Like, if at any point it starts moving into the direction of it becomes more self-serving, I think you'll face challenges. Where what I mean by that is like, if the shift comes more towards where you're like, okay.
Microphone off, button, microphone on.
Okay, when she says divinely inspired or whatever, what I get from that is she's trying to say that there, to me, in my head, she's trying to say that in this whole world, all the blind people who may have listened to somebody play a video game and on PlayStation or Xbox or wherever, and a sighted individual, and I want to play, and the universe hears that, and they see something missing. Well, the universe found me and said, "You're the dude. You're the dude that can make this happen." And it doesn't have to be big. It can be just small, but maybe it'll be contagious and other people will catch on. And so, I'm not the first, but I know I'm not going to be the last. But I'm not trying to take over and be the only one. But I want to network and support others who are developing for our community, because we deserve to have something good and fun. So she's trying to say that the universe kind of put all this together, which is pretty neat. That's why she said all these 9s, and it gets worse. It gets worse. It's like, holy crap. All right, I'll go back. Sorry, I had to interrupt.
Microphone off, stop recording, button. Microphone off, button.
Okay, I'm going to start cutting corners. I'm going to start doing things that fit the mold to make more money, to be more self-serving. What can I get out of this business? Now, there's a component of that, obviously, right? Because we're human and we need to make money and all those things. So it's not saying you need to sacrifice yourself for this business. No. But what I'm saying is, if the business starts to take on sort of a direction that is more self-serving to you and not serving others, and what you can bring to others, you will notice challenges with it, or you will face challenges with this, because this business is absolutely like your soul's gift to others, which is so incredibly beautiful. I can't really even articulate it because it's just so beautiful. So that's what I would say. You're ultimately at the helm of this business, right? It's an extension of you, but it does start to take on its own life, right? Once we birth our business, our creativity, our creative project, it does take on a life of its own. But you're still in the driver's seat of that. And so I would just say, just make sure that you keep coming back to your why when it comes to decisions around your business, what you want to do with it, what direction you want to take into it. I mean, let's just say that you get an offer from a big gaming industry that wants to buy your business, for some ridiculous price, but they own the rights to your business and can do whatever they want with the game at that point. I would say for you and for this business, there would have to be some kind of a clause where you're still in the driver's seat of the creative integrity behind your business, because you would have to maintain that it keeps coming back to the initial vision of why it is that you created the game in the first place. And I'm not saying, if you ever had that opportunity, don't sell it or don't make a bunch of money from it or et cetera, et cetera. But because, then it takes on a life of its own under new ownership, and it may or may not be successful. But while it's under your ownership and while you are sort of in charge of the integrity of it, it has to continue to maintain that 9 vibration. And so I would say, if it's like something you want to continue to be a part of, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, right? Who knows, right? It may or may not get bought out. Who knows? But if it does continue to grow and it does get bought out or something like that, you would just want to make sure that you have a say in it, as far as the integrity behind it, if that makes sense. And when I say like, if that makes sense, I'm not saying like you're not understanding. I'm just making sure that I'm explaining it in a way that can be, that's not being misunderstood. So, yeah, so overall, incredibly beautiful, as long as you can maintain the integrity behind all that 9 energy, because it is a big ask. Like 9 energy is really, really big. Yeah, it's very divinely guided. And it's hard to, there's a lot of surrender that comes with 9 energy as well, like kind of like being in control of the effort, but not so much the outcome type thing as well. So just kind of keep that in mind when it comes to building your business, that sort of thing. There's going to be certain things that you can't control, but and then there's going to be things that you can control as far as how much effort you put in, what, maintaining the integrity and all of those things as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. You also have a lot of 8 energy throughout. You'll see it in your sort of, your expression. You've got 18, 9, so 1 and 8, lots of 1 energy. Again, which I come back to the integrity and the individuality of this business when we're talking about 1 energy here. And being the trailblazer and et cetera, everything we kind of talked about before. But with the 8 energy, you do have this as a karmic lesson. And again, I talked about karma and what, how I see that when it comes to a business. But you've got karmic energy of 8 for the business, but then you also have the subconscious self is 8. So what this tells me is obviously, 8 being the business-minded leader. A lot of times when someone has a lot of 8 energy in their chart, that can indicate somebody who is either like the head of a company and running that business, and is the expert at sort of making sure that the business runs smoothly, or that is advising people on how to best run that business, et cetera, et cetera. Or it's a lot of entrepreneurship, right? So people with strong 8 energy a lot of times will fall more into entrepreneurship. So seeing that, especially as a subconscious self, just tells me that this business wanted to be a business, right? So it also brings into consideration the potential for success, right? With money, resources, power, status, influence, when we have 8 energy, but it always comes back to the integrity behind that 8 energy. So what I mean by that is, what's the why behind it? When we talk about 8 energy, people with strong 8 energy can become wildly successful, right? Like very rich, a lot of power, a lot of status, a lot of influence, et cetera, et cetera. But they will either face a tremendous amount of challenges, or that will run through their fingers if they're not careful about making sure that they are doing something good with that power, money, resources, etc. If it's totally self-serving, or if they're stepping all over people to get to the top, they will face the consequences of that. I think we talked about that. I'm not sure, because I've been doing other readings as well. So I can't remember if you had 8 energy in your chart or not. Anyway, but in the business, there is the potential for the business to be successful, right? But then again, because it's got the karmic energy there and it's part of the subconscious self, it's possible that, if it becomes successful, and I'm not saying it's not, maybe it's wildly successful. I hope so. But if it does, there again is that element of making sure you're checking in with yourself to keep coming back to your why. Like, why did I start this business? Is it serving that purpose? Have I made it become more self-serving? What am I doing with this money, resources, power, status? Am I helping to open doors for others? Am I helping to build a greater community around this business, what are you doing with the resources, with the money, etc. type thing that would come in from it is what I would say when it comes to 8 energy. And so because it's part of the business, then that's going to be a core element of the business, right? Meaning as the business becomes more and more successful, it will serve the business to have integrity behind how you use that money, those resources, et cetera, et cetera. How is your business regenerating into the greater good? What doors is it opening for people? How is it influencing others? How is it serving a greater community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's also a strong spiritual element with 8 energy as well, but really it governs the material plane. And so when it comes to money, power struggles, resources, etc., there's such a huge element of, especially when it has to do with the business, of making sure that there's integrity behind what it's generating, okay, and what you do with that. And then you also have your first pinnacle for the business is 8. So again, this wanted to be a business, right? But there could be a strong emphasis on money. It might seem like it's hard to make money. There might be like certain obstacles around money, resources, power, etc. And those are just obstacles that, of course, need to be overcome. And once they're overcome, if it starts generating, or when it starts generating, what are you going to do with that? What is the business going to do with that? And how can it recirculate that sort of abundance into the greater population and into a greater purpose, right? So I do think that you'll see themes around that, just because, again, you've got so many strong 8s and such strong placements for the business, especially in heart's desire, especially in your expression. So there's just really strong 8 themes there. So that's definitely going to be, again, keep coming back to your why, and just make sure that it's the integrity. Also, it's about expertise, right? And manifesting something through your expertise. And so again, you could tie this into, you're serving a population that, understands sort of your expertise, like of what you've gone through.
Microphone off, but microphone on.
And I believe that she's telling me that, or she's telling us that, because I'm not only the owner, I'm also a client. Yeah, that's, who knows better about what kind of product, or what kind of product to put out than someone who will use the product or enjoys it themselves. So the client base is the same as me. That's what makes, maybe I'm not a professional in a sense of development of video games, but I'm learning, and I'm willing to learn because I want to make something good for us in our community. And I've been wanting to do that for 5 years now. Shit. All right, back to it.
Microphone off.
And, sort of your desire to build something that serves that population, through your experience, right? Through your own personal experience, which definitely satisfies that 8 energy. Because, through no fault of your own or no desire of your own, you became an expert in that area, right? And so you're using that to help uplift, empower, inspire others. So it's beautiful. But just keep that in mind that is a core theme, those 8 themes, right? And so you might see those continue to surface. Let's see. Anything else I want to mention? I mean, you just have so many 9s, like that pretty much covers everything. Hidden passion, 1, 5. I talked about the 1 and the 5, but it's a hidden agenda in this business to maintain its authenticity and also continue to evolve and grow, expand, be unconventional, be different, think outside the box, and be progressive. That's a really strong push with this business. It wants those things. When it starts getting too restricted, too mundane, too stagnant, it's going to want to switch things up, right? It wants to continue to grow and evolve. while maintaining the original vision and integrity. What I thought was really interesting too is the mental expression is 13-4. And 13-4 is sort of like Pluto Scorpion energy, Scorpio energy. It's really more Plutonic, right? So 13-4 is, 4 is building a foundation. It's going to take time. It's slow moving. It takes a lot of effort. It doesn't have a lot of instant gratification. But the reward is in direct proportion to the effort put forth. And it's interesting too, because if I recall, you had like Saturn square your sun, I think. You had Saturn square something, I think it was your sun, which is very much aligned with like 13-4 energy, right? So there's something here about death, transformation, rebirth. And it's interesting because it's mental, right? So there's something here about, for you to create this business, there had to be some kind of something that occurred, death, transformation, rebirth, to sort of think along the lines of this business, right? So,
Microphone
you
on.
know, had what not had what.
Okay, well, for one, I became blind, and two, I started playing video games as a blind person, and I found Audio Defense, and then they left the Apple Store, in the US anyway, and then uh, I thought, man, you guys know the story, how I just decided to do this adventure, and because of all the people on Apple List were complaining, and so was I, and I thought somebody's got to do it. Maybe I could try, and I did, and here we are. So it's what she's saying, life and death, um, and now it's even we got more because of IndusNet leaving me stranded and having to go through another programmer, and then we got the new programmer Abby, and I think he's going to stick around. So we'll see.
What happened not
Microphone
happened,
on button.
you
Microphone
wouldn't
off.
have necessarily been in the framework to create this sort of business that's directed towards the blind, right? Which is incredibly beautiful, even though, not to minimize your experience because, wow. But it is interesting, right? That the mental expression of this business is around this sort of death, transformation, rebirth, and this constant regeneration, regrowth. And that's interesting also because with the 19-1, there is something with this energy, and I did want to mention this too. It's so funny because I'm writing up a video right now that I'm going to be putting on YouTube, I don't know, probably by this weekend, for the 19-1, because it's the last in the karmic series, just like the 16-7. It's going to be a video similar to that for the 19-1. But what's interesting about this 19-1 energy is that there is constant regeneration, right? This is an energy of constant rebirths, right? Like new starts, a new way of seeing things, and then a new way of doing things, a new perspective type thing. So there is the possibility, and I would say that also with the 5 energy, right? But there is the possibility that this business wants to continue to regenerate, to regrow, to see things in a different light, so to speak, and then follow that light and, make modifications and et cetera, et cetera. There can be obstacles that push the 19-1 into this sort of regeneration, right? So it's like, again, it keeps the 19-1 from getting too stagnant, from sort of not evolving and growing type thing. So it can bring constant renewal and constant new starts, which we can also see with 13-4 energy. So it's like at the core, sort of the brain of your business is constantly thinking about regeneration and how to continue to grow and evolve and serve that greater population type thing. In the best way possible. So it's kind of like keeping your finger on the pulse to see, okay, is there something new I can do with this? Is there something I can add to it? Can I grow this business in a way that it serves this population in even a greater way? I mean, the potential is endless, But there's a strong sort of vitality and intellect behind this business, but it continues to want to sort of overcome the obstacles and sort of continue to evolve and grow and elevate into the world type thing. And through that, it sort of taps into sort of an incredible amount of wisdom, right? And as you, as sort of the one who's at the helm, this business can bring you also an incredible amount of insight and wisdom through the journey of putting this out into the world, right? Yeah. So, and what's also interesting, and I love this, the 19 is also associated with the love vibration. 6 is also, right? And you actually, for your balance in the business, it's 6 energy. And I know you have 6 energy in your chart as well. But so there is a lot of love infused, like true divine love infused into this business. Just divinely, right? And then whatever love you put into it, of course, too, but it has the potential to sort of emanate that vibration out into the world, which is, again, just incredibly beautiful. Sometimes, well, if a person had 19-1 as their life path, it can have different implications. Like this can be a faith-breaking kind of energy, but when it's for a business, the way that I would sort of see that play out is it might have a lot of new starts, right? Where it's kind of like for the business owner, it might feel like, okay, well, this isn't going to ever become anything, or it's never going to see major success or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not the case necessarily. It's more about these new starts allow for regeneration and for releasing what's not working and building on what is type thing, right? So I don't necessarily see it as having to be like this faith-breaking experience because it's a business, but it can be one where there's like constant new starts and you just have to kind of move with it, right? Flow with it. Because anywhere the 19 is sort of present, there's just this sort of higher consciousness of self or tapped into a higher consciousness. And that higher consciousness wants to be expressed into the world. So if that makes sense, like if I'm explaining that well. Let's see, anything else quickly here? The only other thing I would say is that your first challenge for your business is 2 energy. So again, I would say for a business, it's more about like, I do see the goal of this business as bringing people together, right? Like helping people to feel included, right? Inclusivity, finding harmony, balance, seeing where there's disconnect and bringing connection. Or what I would say in this case is seeing where there's a lack of a resource and bringing that resource to a population that can find joy and inspiration from it, right? So you may see some things, as far as like maybe getting it in front of the right audience or getting it out into the world as far as marketing, that sort of thing. You might see some challenges around that. And what I would say is just keep going because it's needed. It's very divinely guided. Like I would say this business is so incredibly divinely guided because of all these 9s that it's like your soul is in the driver's seat. And so your soul's kind of taking over with this. And you just have to kind of keep putting your ego to the side and let it become what it wants to become, as long as it maintains that original vision. The last thing I wanted to say, because I thought it was too funny, the first cycle of this business is a 3. And so I know like your whole thing with 3s, right? And that creativity and that, just bringing joy to your own life and other people's lives and that sort of thing. And so I love, love, love that the first cycle of this business until the age of 26 is 3 energy. What's also interesting now, again, your third and last cycle for this business is 11. And anytime there is 11 energy in a chart, especially when it comes in a cycle, this has the potential to get it in front of a huge population, a tremendous amount of like fame and influence and inspiration. And inspiration is really the key because 11 is the inspirational leader. So I don't know if your business will make it to the age of 54 and beyond. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But what this kind of reminded me of was like, the artists who like pass away and then their art becomes just infamous. Honestly, that's what I thought of when I saw that your third and last cycle for the business was 11, because 11 has that power to be that huge presence in the world. But it's interesting because it's not until until your business hits the age of 54, which you may or may not be around for, right? And it may or may not make it that long. It just depends on everything, right? But it is interesting because it has that element. Because that 11 is there, that means that this business has the potential, the very strong potential, to be a force within the world, to be just massively inspiring.
Facebook button. Discord button. Selected. Photos 40. Stop recording. But microphone off. Button. Microphone on.
Sorry about that. Does that mean that mental vision is going to be like Mario Brothers? You can only wish, right? All right. So far so good. All right. I think just a little bit more and we're done.
Microphone off.
To others through its presence, which I just think is incredibly beautiful. And so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I didn't highlight it, but you can see it when you look at your report. So yeah, just incredibly beautiful there. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on. The rest you can read through. I didn't do the full business reading, obviously. I just wanted to kind of get this in front of you, just so you kind of knew what you're looking at with the business, and that your intuition is absolutely spot on with creating this. And honestly, it's like, I would say, just based on your own chart as well, and kind of now knowing your background story, anything like this business, the book, anything, starting a podcast, talking about your experience, your life, etc., whatever, any of those things, honestly, go for it, because it has the potential to have such a greater impact in the world. Yeah. And that's not really that wouldn't necessarily be the focal point, right? That's not why you're putting this stuff out there, is to be sort of seen and recognized and all those things. It's more about uplifting and empowering, inspiring others. And your story is one that's so it's so unique, and just not even just the story, not like what happened to you, but your what you did with that. That is the story, right? Like how you overcame that and continue to overcome that, and what you're doing with your life, and yeah, overcoming those obstacles, all of that, honestly. And you may already have like a podcast or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just saying, my point is, continue to create, continue to put out these sort of things, like, your business, your book, your, a YouTube channel, a podcast, et cetera, because it's going to reach the people that it needs to reach and inspire the people that it needs to inspire. And I really do believe that your soul came here for that purpose in this lifetime. Because just myself not having gone through, something like that, not being able to understand sort of what you've had to move through, et cetera, I can certainly have empathy for it, but I certainly can't understand it, right? I'm so moved by your story, like just so inspired by it, and it really is just such a beautiful example of, again, moving from victimization to empowerment. And that's not an easy road, and it's certainly not the certainly not the path of least resistance. And so it's a testament to sort of your courage and your will and all of those things. And then to do something so beautiful with all that, to help to uplift, empower, inspire others, just, is so incredibly, incredibly powerful and beautiful and all of the things. And so my point is, I hope you continue to create. And I think your intuition of all that 3 energy is so spot on. Just keep putting it out into the world. Doesn't matter about what happens with it once it's out there. Your job is to create it and put it out into the world and let it become whatever it wants to become. But anyway, absolute honor reading for you, Joey. And I hope that you find this helpful. If you have any questions about it, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you over on YouTube and maybe in the future if you decide to get another reading down the road. But if not, it's been a complete honor and I appreciate you and your support, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye for now.
Microphone on.
Bye-bye. All right, so that's that. And wow, made sense to me. Uh, and for most of you, the 80 people who subscribe, um, been with me since the beginning. Uh, when we launched, some people that follow me here on YouTube were the very first beta test for Circus Master, and still pretty supportive and want good things for mental vision. Not me. For mental vision, for our community. I see our community as mental vision, and that's a special thing. So yeah. Well, I hope you guys get a kick out of it, and like wow. So if you want to know about your numbers and all that stuff, I did a little basic video on my other YouTube channel at the Blind Spot, and you can check that out. And I'm going to be interviewing Kimberly. That's her name. On my other YouTube channel on November 13th, and I'll post a notification thing, reminder, um, maybe a day before. I think the 13th is on a Monday or something like that. I can't remember what day it is, but yeah, and it'll be cool because she's a cool person, and yeah, she likes mental vision. She was blown away. Like mental vision is to hers is all about spirit and mind and that kind of thing. So she's like, that's awesome. Well, in her words, that's beautiful. She did use. I just realized she used that word a lot, but that's good. That means um, we're on the right track. I believe, as long as I stay true to my mental vision, then we'll be good. So that's it for the video. I hope this thing recorded like it was supposed to record. Otherwise, I'm gonna I'm gonna be upset about it, but that's okay. Murphy's Law, right? All right, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll go and stop this thing now and post it on YouTube for you guys to listen. If you have any feedback or anything like that, or any questions, please post them in the comment. Uh, and hope you're excited about seeing more Chapter 3 because it's almost here. No, and I don't say almost as in almost a year ago when I said almost, but I get tired of saying almost because every time I say that word, it seems like something else happens. But this time, I'm sure it's coming. I just wish it would have been last week. So, all right. I'll let you guys know when we release it to Apple for them to do their thing. All right. Thank you and God bless.
Stop recording button.